So I've personally never seen a great ball handler who plays like a robot, who only pulls those basic moves out of the bag, who stays inside the box and stays inside their comfort zone. A lot of the highlights or even very basic moves you'll see on a night-to-night basis, players didn't work on them directly, they just came out in the flow of the game. And this is a byproduct of being a very creative athlete. And it's probably even the same thing for you. In your best games, with your best moves, they most likely didn't happen because you were thinking about it and pre-planning them and because you've worked on them over and over. A lot of your best moves and best moments probably just happened because you were playing outside of that box. So the more we're able to push our limits and get outside of that box in our workouts and in our training, the more creative we're gonna be in game. Plus, we're gonna see better results across the board from our training, and we're gonna have more fun with it along the way. So in this video, I'll talk about how becoming a creative ball handler or just athlete in general is absolutely vital to you becoming a fluid, effortless ball handler. Let's check it out. So number one, why is creativity so important? Actually, we'll even start with this. What's the definition of creativity in the first place? So if you take the actual definition, it's the use of original ideas, especially in the production of artistic work. And this makes sense, right? As hoopers, when we're on the court, we need to come up with these original ideas, whether it's a technique or a move or something we pull out on the court. These are original ideas. And then the art side of that is just playing. Basketball is an art when you break it down to it. And because basketball is such a random game, we have to be ready for anything that it throws at us. So if we're limited to a small set of moves or a small set of techniques, we're not going to be able to adapt to everything the game throws at us. And this is absolutely key for becoming an elite ball handler. And this goes hand in hand with something called observational learning, which all the best ball handlers are good at. This is being able to take something that you see or you observe and then apply it onto the court without even practicing it much. So say, for example, you see a move or a technique, or you're watching one of your favorite players on film and you see something they do. The best observational learners are able to take that, even if it's subconsciously, and it comes out on the court just because they're so creative. So our brain may see a move, again, even subconsciously, and be like, hey, I like that move, I'm gonna use that move. Next thing you know, we're using that move in a game. This is a huge advantage to me, and this is creativity. Plus, it's something that you'll notice that a lot of the best ball handlers and athletes in general are really talented at. So now for the real question, how do we train our creativity? Number one, I kind of have two steps that I like to follow. So number one is exposing yourself to creative ideas. So kind of filling your brain with that creative ammo. So whether this is watching a player on film that you kind of want to imitate a little bit, whether this is talking to really elite or creative ball handlers, or whether this is just trying to come up with new moves on your own, you're just trying to expose yourself to a bunch of new ideas, even if you're not necessarily working on them at first. And again, this is a lot of observational learning. And then number two, which is a lot of what we do on the court and a lot of what I try to implement into my training, is now we're just letting this creativity flow and doing it without thinking about it too much. And this is where it gets fun. This is where we get into freestyle drills, some creative setups into drills. Freestyle dribbling right here, so just kind of chilling with my feet locked. So my feet can't move. And then whenever my feet move, we can go live through dribbles from there. So we're putting ourselves in a position to use this creative ammo that we've loaded our minds with. And this is how we're gonna build that creative problem-solving ability that the best athletes have. All right, so the basis of this drill is that we're making 3 moves at the wing, same 3 moves every time, but they have to be slightly different each rep. And it's gonna force you to be really creative. It's gonna force you to think on the fly, figure out new solutions, and switch up the way you're doing these moves. We're not limiting ourselves in these drills to stuff inside the box. If we're doing some stuff that's a little bit weird, if we're doing some stuff that we may have never done before, even some stuff that we may never do in a game, this is okay to me because we're forcing ourselves outside of that box in our training. And to me, this is key number 2 to how we train this creativity. We're never allowing ourselves to get boxed in. Again, some of these things you may not be doing in a game necessarily, but you're building that general coordination, you're building that general confidence with the ball and with how you move that's gonna apply to stuff that you're gonna do in game. Plus, who's to say that we may not do some of this stuff in a game? Again, basketball is a very random game. It's a very open sport, so you never know what's gonna happen. You could end up doing some pretty crazy stuff on the court, even if you've never necessarily worked on it in your training. And then lastly, and maybe even most importantly for me, when we're creative, when we push our training outside of the box, we just have more more fun. And when we have more fun on the court in our workouts, this actually sets the stage for our learning. The whole traditional notion is that we should be grinding it out. We shouldn't be looking forward to our workouts. Our training should be something that we push through every time we go on the court. But in reality, as humans, we actually learn the best when we're having fun. Number one, without getting too scientific, when we have fun, our brain releases a chemical called dopamine. We learn better in this state because our brain is essentially tagging these memories or these skills or these moves and saying, hey, I enjoyed this experience when I was working on it. I'm gonna remember this for next time or for the game. So even if you break it down to the science, we learn better when we're having fun. But even just from a practical standpoint, when you enjoy your workouts, when you're having fun during your workouts, you're gonna come back more and you're gonna come back more engaged. You're gonna be devoting more attention to your workout. Whether you're a younger kid all the way up to a pro, this is gonna be big because you come into the gym every time ready to compete with yourself, ready to be creative, ready to push your limits, and not dreading that workout each time. So you can see how this adds up. And eventually, through this training, through being creative, and through training yourself to be creative and adaptive on the court, you're gonna become one of those elite ball handlers that looks fluid, that looks effortless, and it does stuff that people don't even know how they did it. So this creativity is one of the big pillars in my new ball handling program. I dropped the link in the description if you wanna go check that out. They're gonna be 10 weeks of drills that follow a lot of these concepts. So if you wanna train like this, make sure to check that out and get to work.